Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Great Scott! There's no crying in baseball!
You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
This is where the fun begins. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's right, we're ranking Strays. Strays is a 2023 American comedy film where a group of stray dogs, led by a naive but determined border terrier, embark on a wild adventure to get revenge on his neglectful former owner. This is a movie I never would have watched on my own. I had certain expectations about it when I saw the trailers when it was originally coming out, and it surprised me in some ways but didn't in a lot. So let's get into it with the 10 essential aspects of a movie. First is plot. Does the movie follow a comprehensive story arc and is plausible within the world that has been created? It is a very cookie cutter, stereotypical adventure movie with a simple destination and the very typical things that happen between one place and getting to the other. I'm not mad at it, it's exists, and there's a lot of movies that follow that exact format because it works in some way. It is entertaining and lighthearted and easy to watch. I think this movie followed that path pretty easily. That being said, because it does, there's nothing that really stands out about it other than the fact that it is dogs, and so there's just something there. I am a dog lover, so that works for me. If you don't love dogs, then I don't think you're really gonna love this movie all that much. But if you do like dogs and you can stand some inappropriate humor, this is a very typical adventure movie. Second is attraction. Does the movie have an interesting premise with a high entertainment value? I wouldn't call it a high entertainment value. There's some sort of attraction. If you like dogs and can stand some crude humor, you'll probably find something about this movie that you will enjoy. Otherwise, if you're a 13-year-old boy that just loves laughing at some dick jokes, then this is a movie for you. Third is theme. What message or truth is the movie trying to convey? There is somewhat of a message in this movie about what I would say is toxic relationships, where you find your true self-worth. Do you find it from people who actually value and love you, or do you find it from somebody who doesn't care for you at all? There's somewhat of that message in this movie. Of course, there's a lot of comedy. It's not really that serious, but there is a message here about not obtaining your own self-worth from somebody who doesn't really care about you. Fourth is dialogue. Is there a real feel to the conversations? Well, we're talking about a bunch of dogs talking to each other, so is there a real feel? I don't know how to determine that, but I will say that the comedy in this movie, it seems mostly improvised, but honestly, it's not very good. I didn't find it that funny. I just think there's a lot of jokes in this movie that are just inappropriate for the sake of being inappropriate. The fact that it's inappropriate makes it funny. I don't think that's true. I don't think a lot of adults think that's true. I think we all require some sort of sophisticated comedy in some sort of way. It's got to be funny because it makes sense, not just because it's about sex. I just don't think that stuff was funny. I didn't find any of that in this movie funny. The only times I thought this movie was funny was when it was playing fun at the logic of dogs. They would make decisions that only a dog would make because it's a dog, and that in this movie was funny, but they didn't have a whole lot of that. A lot of it was just inappropriate jokes that I just honestly didn't think were that well made. Fifth is acting. Are the characters convincing? They can only be so convincing. I mean, they're just dogs. I feel like the voices fit the actual dogs well. I mean, you don't sit there and question it. I think Jamie Foxx and Will Ferrell being the two main dogs, and their personalities made sense for the actors and the roles that they have played previously, but I don't think anyone deserves to be recognized in this movie because they stood out. 6 is cinematography. Is there a creative use of lighting, setting, and wardrobe to convey emotion? The only unique thing about this movie is the dogs, and the way that they talk didn't stand out as something that just didn't look right, that I noticed the entire movie. Honestly, they did just fine. There's nothing in this movie to really stand out at all, but I mean, it looks fine. There's nothing about it that bothered me at all. As far as emotions go, this is where I'm saying that the movie kind of surprised me, but kind of didn't. There was some emotion in this movie. There's something to be said about the friendships that are made, and you kind of enjoy all of these dogs together and the way that they complement each other. You end up caring about them more at the end than I was really expecting, but I mean, I'm not shedding a tear over any of them. Seventh is editing, and this is all about the pace of the movie. The movie is an hour and 33 minutes long, and that is totally fine with me. Like I've said before, I think any comedy movie that's going to be purely comedy and nothing more, it needs to be an hour and a half or shorter, and that's exactly what this movie does. It wraps up right when you want it to wrap up. I'd say it could be even a tad bit long. I think it would have been better as maybe like an hour 20 movie, but I'm not going to complain at an hour 33. Eighth is soundtrack. There's nothing notable about this soundtrack. I do remember there was one particular song used for comedy, and I thought that one song was funny, but all the other songs used for comedy throughout the entire movie, I didn't even really notice. They weren't really any good. Ninth is directing. Now I feel the director is in charge of the previous 8 aspects. They're the ones that have to put it all together, give it their stamp of approval, and make a really good movie. Now, the director of this movie is Josh Greenbaum, and this was his second movie. The 2 total movies he's directed to this point were Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar and Strays. Now, I ain't even heard of the first one, and based on this one, I don't know. I can't really make a whole lot of judgments. He didn't make a good movie, didn't make a bad movie. It's only his second movie, so I'd have to see him. I'd love to see him if he made a different movie. Just do something a little bit more creative, something that helps stand out a little bit. But based on this, I can't make any assumptions about this guy as a director in any sort of way. 10th is time. Will it stand the test of time? No, not at all. It won't stand the test of time for me. The only reason it even kind of stands around is because it's a comedy movie about dogs, and I just really enjoy dogs. But otherwise, it's so cookie cutter, it's so bland, there's nothing special about it at all, that there's nothing to hold on to as far as time goes. Now for the review section. Rotten Tomatoes critics gives it a 54, the audience gives it a 70, and IMDb gives it a 63. I'm not quite as low as a 54, though there's not much to praise about this movie. There's not a whole lot to complain about. The only thing I can complain is that it's supposed to be a comedy, and it's not really that funny. There's only a couple moments that I thought were funny, only because I like dogs. So I think I'm somewhere in between 63 and 70. I'm like a high D on this movie, a high 60s. I just think there's not much to save it, and I penalize it a little bit just for the fact that I didn't think it was that funny. But that's just, comedy is so subjective. There's some people who are going to think this is funny. I think if you're a young teenager, if you're a young teenage boy, you're probably going to find this movie hilarious. You're going to think it's great. I think there's probably some older people that are going to think this kind of humor is really funny, but I just don't fall in that category, so I won't punish it too much because it's not my type of humor. It is someone's type of humor, but I just don't think there's a whole lot to praise for this movie either. Finally, for the rankings. For the year of 2023, out of 2 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be first, above Gran Turismo. Honestly, this was a fairly close ranking for me, surprisingly. I found that this movie, it's a movie I would choose to watch again, just because it's so easy to watch, and I just like watching a movie with dogs that's made for adults in some sort of way. Though I didn't find everything funny in it, there was a couple times I did find some jokes about the humor within dogs funny. And again, it was just surprisingly easy to watch, so I do have it above Gran Turismo, but it's pretty close. I just think that Strays is made for entertainment a little bit better. It's a little bit easier of a watch. Gran Turismo does have a more serious tone to it that keeps me from watching it as much. But honestly, these are movies I would put on again, but maybe only once or twice again in my lifetime. Like, I wouldn't put them on that many times. There's a lot of other movies I would watch before these. Now, cinematically, out of the 2 total movies, it's going to be second, below Gran Turismo. It's kind of below it for the same reason it was above it. I think that Gran Turismo has much more cinematically going on. It is a movie that you can take a lot more serious, where Strays, it's not really meant for that, but in some ways it kind of surprised me by having some emotional aspect with the friendship between the dogs throughout the adventure. But yeah, there's not much going for it, pretty easily below Gran Turismo. Now for the decade of the 2020s, out of 43 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be 14th, just below The Wild Robot and above Gran Turismo. Again, I have it above Gran Turismo for the exact same reasons. I have it below The Wild Robot because there's just a class of movies that are just really good, and The Wild Robot is one that is cinematically really good. And though I got kind of bored in that movie, the cinematic aspects to it are so good, and I love them so much that I will choose to watch that movie easily over Strays. It is a little bit harder to watch, and I kind of penalize The Wild Robot in some way because it's not quite made for entertainment nearly as much. It's a lot more heavy hitting, but it's honestly just an opinionated thing that I just enjoy that cinematography so much that it puts it over a movie like Strays, where it's made for entertainment, but it doesn't do a really great job, but it does a decent job. Now, cinematically, out of 43 total movies, it is going to be 31st, just below The Damned and above Den of Thieves 2. Now, I have it below The Damned. The Damned is a movie that is another cookie-cutter movie. Unfortunately, it didn't look like it was going to be, but then it became a stereotypical evil, scary movie that just relied on jump scares. But there were aspects cinematically that were good. The first part of that movie is really nice. The tone and setting is interesting. The music is fantastic. There's some cinematic aspects. The acting's pretty good that I would give it credit for, where The Strays, there's not a whole lot I give it credit for cinematically, other than just not really messing up all that much. Now, I do have it above Den of Thieves 2, pretty much for that exact same reasoning, in the fact that it doesn't mess up that much, where Den of Thieves 2 does have a serious plot line to it and takes itself a little more serious than Strays. It just messes up in areas. I don't think the plot was that good. I don't think the characters made a whole lot of sense. Some of the actors in the roles didn't make a whole lot of sense. So I just have more problems with it than I do Strays, and I just think that a movie with less problems represents film better. Now, for all time, out of 56 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be 24th. Again, just below The Wild Robot and above Gran Turismo. It's there for the exact same reasons as the decades. Now, cinematically, out of 56 total movies, it is going to be 43rd, just below The Damned and above Den of Thieves 2. It's there for the exact same reasons as before. Honestly, it's a made-for-entertainment movie. It's just not going to get a whole lot of points cinematically for me, other than like the little bit it did with emotions somewhat makes up for the fact that it's supposed to be a comedy, and I didn't find it all that funny. That's all I've got for Strays. Let me know your opinion, what you thought. Did you think it was funny? Is it your kind of humor? Can you understand where people like me just don't really like inappropriate humor for the sake of being inappropriate? Make sure to comment what you think. I really enjoy it when you guys comment. Hope when I made the channel, I like interacting with you guys. I like hearing your opinions. If you're interested in watching somebody who does the exact same format as me, but with a different opinion and a different list and a lot of different movies, and go check out my best friend Bosso Movie Reviews. Again, he just has a very different opinion from me. I feel like he values entertainment a little bit more than I do, but he just puts it all into one concise list, which I think some people might like more. He's also done a lot more movies, and he's done a lot more past movies where I'm trying to catch up in that area. But make sure that you comment a movie that you want me to review, and I will get to that review. Make sure you subscribe so that you can see when I get to review the movie that you comment. But otherwise, I'm Mr. Majoritarian. Stay classy, San Diego.